What is going on, everyone? Let's get right to the point here. I discovered a variation in the Caro-Kann defense, e4 c6, which totally crushes white's bishop c4, the Hillbilly attack. This attacks our f7 pawn, immediately controlling that diagonal. d5 attacks the bishop and pawn, also blocking the f7 diagonal. Amateurs usually exchange the pawns to remove the threat. Masters always back away from the threat with bishop b3 because black takes the free pawn, giving back that diagonal. Instead of this, here's a far superior move I discovered, a5. This is not only immediately threatening a4, trapping the bishop, it forces white's move, taking control of the initiative on move 3, negating the opening, removing the bishop off the f7 diagonal. There's no tutorials or titled matches in any online database. I checked Chess365, Lichess, Chess.com, Chess Tempo, and others. There's no examples, but masters have tried far worse moves, including h5, e5, e6, g6, and knight f6, which all score lower. Compared to the main line analysis, shows a5 is about even. This a5 variation is called the sum-dum trucker defense. In the old line, capturing e4 allows white's bishop to attack f7. Queen h5 will follow, also threatening f7 along with the bishop. e6 and g6 are the best ways to block the attack on our king. In the e6 line, a5 is the best move after all of white's top moves. Same for the g6 lines. It's a powerful move that's never played. Backing up to the new a5 line, let's look at white's options. We'll finish the video on 3 questionable moves, a3, c3, and c4, but first the 3 main replies, a4, knight c3, and e capturing d. If our pawn's captured, a5 forces the bishop to the c4 square. Now we recapture d5. It'll push the bishop off the f7 diagonal. There's 4 safe squares the bishop can go, d3, e2, or f1. If it's chosen, then push e5. You control the center board and should have an excellent game. If pawns attack your center, push the pawns, don't capture. Also use those center pawns to kick any knight moves to c3 or f3. Backing up, instead of retreating, the bishop has the move attacking on b5 as well. Block with bishop d7. If exchanged, use the queen to recapture. White may choose to protect the bishop with queen e2 instead. Capture the bishop, their queen recapturing comes with check. Use the queen to block. If queen's exchanged, recapture with king. This position leads development for us entering the middle game. Now let's back up and take a look at the next possibility. After our a4, playing a5 stops the a pawn from advancing, preventing the bishop trap. Only good move is to capture e4. Just like the main line, black's queen h5 adds pressure to f7. e6 and g6 both block threat. I suggest g6 kicking the queen. h4 and e2 both aim queen to capture the e4 pawn next turn. Develop knight a6 with intentions of c5 to threaten bishop. Queen capturing e4 turns knight c5 into a queen-bishop fork. The queen has 2 main ideas. First, it's preventing ugly pawns. Only f3, e3, and c4 let the queen safely defend the b3 bishop. After knight takes bishop, queen recaptures, avoids the ugly pawns. Backing up, if c-pawn recaptures, it ruins the pawn structure. It creates an isolated queen pawn and doubles the b-pawns. That's one reason the sum-dum trucker defense is better. White's a-pawn that moved normally recaptures, now can't. The queen now has extra duty of staying able to recapture. Backing up, the other idea is actually a blunder we'll go over now. Instead of a defensive queen, e5 forks the rook and knight. We ignore white's attack, capturing the b3 bishop with our knight. If our rook's taken, taking their rook wins with an evaluation of -9. If g8 knight's also captured, evaluation's now close to -13. Knight checking the king, capturing c2 will lead you to victory. It should be very easy to wrap things up from this position. Backing up, we'll now cover the only last good move that white has to save the bishop.